Hello, I'm Professor McLowry. I'm an associate professor at Rutgers Business School in the Department of Supply Chain Management. Today, I'd like to spend a few minutes showing you why we think that you should consider majoring in supply chain management at Rutgers. Have you ever purchased a product? You probably didn't give much thought about how that product was produced or delivered. Maybe somewhere in the back of your mind, you knew that people working for a company somewhere were somehow responsible for making it and then delivering it to the place where you purchased it. The details of how that happens are not usually much of a concern until you can't get what you want. Today, more than ever, as we face a global pandemic that has us sheltering at home, we can all understand the value of a well-managed supply chain. The spot shortages of some food products, healthcare supplies, medical equipment, medicines, and paper products, all due to unanticipated spikes in demand related to the pandemic, illustrate how vital supply chain management is to our everyday lives, as well as how fragile our supply chains can be if they're not well managed. Supply chain management is all about making sure that customers get what they want, when they want it, at the lowest cost. In fact, we like to say that supply chain management is the way business gets done. First, let's make sure that everyone understands what a supply chain is and why it's such an important part of any business. As you can see described here, any organization anywhere in the world offering a product or a service has a supply chain. That's because products and services are created from all kinds of resources, such as materials, equipment, labor, time, money, and so on. And producing and delivering products and services to the market requires suppliers to deliver those resources to manufacturers, who then convert the resources into products and services that are purchased by customers. All of the suppliers, manufacturers, and customers for a specific product or service make up a supply chain. These supply chains can be very simple, such as the one for a paperclip. You obtain some wire, bend it into the paperclip shape using some labor and equipment, and then put a number of them into a box to sell to consumers like you and me. If the process is automated, you might be able to make hundreds of paperclips per minute. Supply chains can also be very complex, such as the one for a commercial airplane. There are likely hundreds of suppliers of thousands of parts which have to be assembled in stages over many months just to build one commercial airplane for a customer. Supply chains exist in organizations that are very large, like Ford Motor Company, General Electric, or Johnson & Johnson. But they also exist in organizations that are very small, like your local mom and pop shop on the corner selling sandwiches and coffee. These small organizations have a supply chain through which they source their ingredients and materials, manufacture their products and services, and then distribute them to their customers, just like the large organizations. Supply chains exist in both publicly traded companies and companies that are privately held. And they exist in for-profit organizations as well as non-for-profit organizations such as the Red Cross or the U.S. government, for example. This slide is meant to provide you with a high-level outline of how a supply chain is structured. Think of yourself as the manufacturer of a product or a service. A supply chain consists of the flow of materials and products from your external suppliers of raw materials, intermediate materials, or finished materials and services, to you as a manufacturer of finished products. You transform these purchased materials into your finished products using your own internal operations and/or outsourcing some manufacturing to external third-party operations if you choose to. You then distribute your products to your customers through one or more distribution channels. You as a manufacturer may sell your products through wholesalers and distributors, who in turn sell the products to retailers, who then sell the products to the ultimate consumer. Manufacturers may alternatively sell direct to retailers or consumers, or through any combination of these various distribution channels. A manufacturer may even sell some of their products through one distribution channel while selling others through a different distribution channel, depending on the type of product or service being offered. Each of these suppliers, manufacturers, and customers are individual links in the supply chain. That entire process is facilitated by what we refer to as logistics, which includes managing all of the inventory that flows through the supply chain, any warehousing needed to temporarily store that inventory, and of course, all the modes of transportation that we use to move that inventory from one point of origin to the destination, such as by truck, rail, air, water, and even pipeline. Now that you know what a supply chain is, we can describe supply chain management as the coordination of the network of otherwise independent trading partners, meaning the suppliers, manufacturers, and customers, who are creating a desired product or service and then moving it through the supply chain out to customers when and where the customer wants it. Supply chain management creates value by managing the processes of all these trading partners so that they can collaborate with one another in an efficient, effective, and cost-conscious way. If they can do that well, every trading partner in the supply chain will benefit. As I noted earlier, we like to say that supply chain management is the way business gets done, because it's really the execution process of any business. Today, there's a significant shortage of supply chain talent. In the world in general, but particularly here in the US, we're creating a significant number of new supply chain jobs every year. Even though student enrollment in supply chain programs has been steadily increasing, academic institutions offering supply chain training and education, such as Rutgers, are still not able to keep up with this extraordinary demand, graduating far fewer supply chain majors each year than are needed by business. As you can see from the examples shown here, there are an abundance of job opportunities available across every link in the supply chain. This significant and growing talent shortage can be attributed to a number of factors, including the continued and accelerated pace of globalization, requiring companies to seek supply chain talent trained in international trade management, the rapid expansion of e-commerce, creating a paradigm shift challenging the entire supply chain to develop new processes to supply the market. We as consumers have now come to expect a faster, more flexible, and responsive supply chain for every product we buy, which not only requires cutting-edge supply chain expertise, but some out-of-the-box innovative thinking as well. New and increased risks to the supply chain, requiring supply chain expertise to identify and then create risk mitigation strategies to reduce the probability and impact of any potential supply chain disruption. And the widespread adoption of new technologies and innovations, requiring companies to hire supply chain talent with a thorough understanding of how and when to employ these state-of-the-art advancements. If you couple these factors with the changing demographics of the business population, where middle and senior level supply chain leaders are retiring from the workforce in record numbers, it's not surprising that potential employers are having trouble finding enough supply chain talent to fill all of their available positions. What does it all mean? There's an abundance of job opportunities in supply chain management. No longer is supply chain management considered just a support function of manufacturing. The value of supply chain management has been recognized by business leaders and elevated in stature within most organizations. In fact, some of the most advanced technologies and biggest innovations driving business today are happening in the supply chain. Here's just a sampling of some of the most widespread and well-known technologies and innovations, such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, 3D printing, drone deliveries, self-driving trucks, robotics, and e-commerce, to name just a few. If you do decide to choose a career in supply chain management, there are some very important things that you can expect, including job availability, as previously discussed, coupled with accelerated growth and advancement opportunities, and job security, all due to the ongoing shortage of trained supply chain managers. As a result, you can also expect excellent income and compensation packages. Recent surveys show a very high percentage of respondents who are content with their career in supply chain, much higher than many other business disciplines. Since supply chain skills are portable and supply chain jobs are available in every industry worldwide, you have your choice of industries and work locations. You can specialize in a particular supply chain discipline if you choose. For example, purchasing, planning, inventory management, warehousing, or transportation. You can also use your supply chain skills to specialize in a particular industry sector. For example, aerospace, electronics, consumer product goods, fashion, or pharmaceuticals. Some supply chain jobs provide the opportunity to travel to visit suppliers or customers, or to relocate to a company's operations in various parts of the world. And last but certainly not least is the access and opportunity to work with the state-of-the-art technologies and cutting-edge innovations as described earlier. If any or all of that sounds interesting to you, the Supply Chain Management program at Rutgers Business School is one of the highest ranked supply chain programs in the North American region and recognized as a world-class leader in supply chain management education. The program has been specifically designed to help students master all of the supply chain functional areas and the latest supply chain strategies and technologies. Supply chain management at Rutgers consists of an undergraduate Bachelor of Science in Supply Chain Management program across both our Newark and New Brunswick campuses, as well as 3 specialty Master of Science programs in Supply Chain Management, Healthcare Analytics and Intelligence, and Supply Chain Analytics. In addition, there is a Master of Business Administration program with a supply chain concentration, as well as a PhD in Supply Chain Management program. The department also offers executive education in supply chain management for business executives who want to develop new supply chain skills or enhance their existing skills. There are 28 full-time faculty members and over 30 adjunct faculty members. 43% of the full-time faculty and 100% of the adjunct faculty members come from business and industry, each bringing their required minimum of 20 years of real-world experience into the classroom to share with students. The program is also supported by an industry advisory board of 18 companies providing program guidance and another 250 plus companies who actively recruit our students and graduates for full-time jobs, internships, and co-ops. While the undergraduate program in supply chain management at Rutgers only began 9 years ago, it has rapidly grown to be the second largest supply chain management program in the U.S., as well as the second largest major at Rutgers Business School, boasting over 1,300 students. An undergraduate Bachelor of Science degree in supply chain management requires a total of 24 credits within the major. 5 required courses for 15 credits, covering all the basic supply chain fundamental disciplines. 3 elective courses for 9 credits, which offer students the opportunity to pursue their chosen area of interest within supply chain management. A key differentiator of the Rutgers Supply Chain program from those programs at other schools is the experiential course requirement. Students must complete either a supply chain internship, co-op, or industry client project to enhance their academic classroom work with real-world experience in supply chain. In order to help students obtain full-time jobs or internships and co-ops to fulfill their experiential course requirement, the Supply Chain Department organizes an exclusive Supply Chain Career Expo each fall and spring where companies meet and interview supply chain majors to fill their talent acquisition needs. For those students who do graduate from Rutgers with a degree in supply chain management, 92% of those going directly into the workforce are placed within 3 months of graduation, with 75% placed at or before graduation. The average starting salary for a Rutgers supply chain undergraduate is $60,000 a year, plus the potential for additional compensation and signing bonuses. And for reference purposes, the average salary for an experienced supply chain manager with a bachelor's degree is a little over $78,000, which is 24% higher than the national median for all occupations with a bachelor's degree. So what's the key message? We strongly recommend that you consider a primary or secondary major in supply chain management. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me using my contact information shown here.